Welcome to Flow 360. I'm your host, Diraj Adhikari. As always, we have a new guest here today. Let's welcome Lennard Keswani to Flow 360. Welcome, man.
Hi there, Raj. Thanks for having me, mate.
Yes, sir. He's a tennis pro, um, and I'm really happy to have him here today. We can talk about some of his life struggles, stories, and get some tips for young tennis kids out there trying to be a professional.
Absolutely.
Yeah, let's get it started by asking you, where were you born?
I was born in India, but grew up all the way till 18 in Belgium.
Belgium. Okay. Yeah, tell me how life was in Belgium.
It is really nice, very different from your American high school and elementary culture, but very slower paced. And yeah, you go through the motion. It is not as sports focused there as it is here.
Gotcha.
So once you come to America, the sports culture booms a lot more. Whereas there, it's very academically focused and less about the sports world.
Gotcha. As you mentioned, obviously, sports. You played tennis since you mentioned 3 years old, correct?
Yes.
So how did you get involved with tennis?
Oh, my mom brought me to all the different facilities and had me try out all the sports. And I was so bad at soccer that I had to go find something else. So I tried basketball, handball, tennis, hockey, and I stuck with tennis and hockey for a long time.
Gotcha. I bet the first few days of tennis, I don't know if you even remember 3-year-old, but what was, if you could pick like one memory as a young kid playing tennis, what's like the first memory that you have of tennis or that you can remember of?
One of the first memories was getting this yellow Dunlop racket, the very old ones, the super mini ones. Yeah, being indoor and I could fit inside the basket of the coach.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just making contact with the racket, and that was kind of where it started, and then kept going back. And 20 something years later, we're still doing it.
Yeah. As I asked you about your early tennis memories, I know in Europe it's a big thing. People go around, compete in different countries. Do you had a chance to compete within the European countries? Or did you get to travel like internationally as well?
Yes, I went to an academy at a young age, which is similar than what Bollettieri or IMG used to be here. And they would do the practice and take us to tournaments all over tennis Europe, where it was Netherlands, Spain, France, and Germany.
Gotcha. So you got to travel a bunch playing tennis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Drive a lot.
Yeah. Would your parents take you around, or would you go with the coaches?
Both. Some were with the coaches, but very often it's the parents being very involved and having a full taxi service.
Gotcha. As a kid, did you see yourself being a tennis pro, or what was your dream to be when you were young?
I think you have to. As a kid, you have to dream, and I definitely dreamt about becoming a professional tennis player and cutting out Roger Federer's pictures out of the magazines. Yes, totally. And it's something I would recommend for all the youngsters to have a vision and something to strive for.
Gotcha. As a kid, we all definitely lean toward the support that we get from family, friends, coaches, all that. How much support did your parents have in you?
Unlimited. I was blessed beyond to have a mother that did everything so I could have every opportunity in Belgium as well as here in the United States.
Gotcha.
Very supportive. You're aware it's not soccer or a lot of the team sports where you can rely on team members.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of back end effort.
Hmm. Yeah. I guess like for any kid, whether they're playing any sport or not a sport, maybe they're in music or something else. I mean, family being there as a backbone it means a lot.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's a blessing to have, and can be tough if you don't have it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. As you do coaching now. What are some of the things that you have seen with parents, and what would you tell parents to be like, or do you have any comments regarding the support, or obviously things are different here in the U.S. as it's a faster paced life. I know not every kid has a parent who will come watch their practice or game or support them. So, what are some of your advices for parents?
I would advise to have to let the kid be a kid for as long as possible.
Mm-hmm.
On the competitive side, don't try to push it too strongly when they're still young. Let it develop naturally into something they want to do.
Yeah.
Where the sport is still something to keep them active, give them a social life, build connections with other youngsters and kids, and as well as supporting staff.
Yeah.
On the parent side, I do like when they do come to watch some of the practices, but I don't think it's very healthy to have the parent be there every practice.
Yeah.
So we see two kinds of the story. Very involved parents, often with already their own background in the sport.
Yeah.
Those can be tough, not necessarily on the coaches, but on the kids. We see it often where we as the coaches transition more into that mentor side.
Yeah.
And more of a listening ear.
Yeah.
And the tennis and evolution of that is a byproduct.
Yeah. Okay.
So it depends from kid to kid, but there's definitely a lot of variety in style, from very stern to very laissez-faire.
Okay. As you finished your high school in Belgium, did you look into like playing just here in the U.S. or were there options? Maybe some European countries. What were your options in terms of after high school? What were you trying to get into?
I was not sure at the time. I think as many 17, 18-year-olds, it's a very open world, and a lot of young guys, young girls don't know what they want to do. On my end, I was always aware that there was a possibility to come to the United States. We've had many people in the past do it before us, and NCAA has been set up. That being said, knowing nothing about America, I did not know the difference between the first division, second division, let's stand alone, NAIA, JUCO. That whole system was foreign. So we went to get some extra advice, some outside help, and got some options to come here, and eventually picked one that looked really nice and was affordable for us.
Gotcha. Where did you go to play college tennis and get your degree at?
I went to King University in Bristol, Tennessee.
Gotcha. Did you what was your first reaction coming into the U.S.? How big was the town?
It's a very small town. You can walk it.
Gotcha.
It's two main streets on the border of Tennessee and Virginia. So you can walk either side, either state in the same road.
Wow.
So border town, very southern hospitality, redneck, immense culture shock in the beginning.
Gotcha.
Could not understand a word. I thought the English was okay, but the accent was so thick. But yes, felt everyone there was so welcoming from the first day. The university as well came to pick me up. We went to all the stores to get some mattress and a pillow and a toothbrush. Yes, the time flew so fast. Amazing experience.
Yeah. Okay. It was, um, obviously people that are in different part of the world, they view or they vision America a little differently. The big buildings and big cities and all that, and then coming in and you get into a little tiny town, like that's a shock for almost everyone. And a lot of the times these schools that are offering athletic scholarships, they're all over, man. They could be in the Midwest, they could be in up north, colder weather, Texas, hot weather. It's like it's not what you imagine, right?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's night and day from what you picture from TV. You see New York, you see a bit of Florida and California. Nothing in between.
Yeah.
Never have heard of Idaho or South Dakota.
Yeah.
Very big shock also food wise, and transportation wise as well.
Gotcha.
You realize, oh, a car is really helpful here. So yes, big culture shock, but something I would recommend every youngster to explore.
Yeah. As for, let's say, any European kids, South American, Asian kids, any international kids who are trying to come in and play here in the U.S., what are your tips for them? What should they look into, and where should they, go after?
Very good question. I would say for the future generation, if you're outside of the United States looking to come in, be very diligent on the process. It is a tricky process. It's not always straightforward on the scholarship side, but also the visa backend. I would recommend get a outside counsel to guide you through a process like this and explore your options before making a decision too rationally.
Gotcha.
Too irrationally.
Yeah. Did you have a counselor who helped you out with the process, or did you do it on your own?
I had a counselor, but I wasn't really too involved. I think not as mature yet at the time.
Yeah.
Again, goes back to the parents being very on top of the day-to-day there. Later, after college, I did help a dozen people from Europe come here, and from Australia, and some from Africa. So we've learned a lot about the process from different countries.
Yeah.
And spoke to hundreds of coaches and schools.
Yeah. I mean, there's obviously a lot of opportunities for any kids who want to come in and play, but it's just like you mentioned, it's a hard process. I bet a lot of the times, even the language barriers for certain people, it could be an issue because, like you said, English. It was English, but it was so thick that it was hard to understand, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it can be challenging.
It can be challenging if you're from Ukraine, Russia, those countries that don't grow up with movies and websites and their whole social media in English. It can be a really big transition.
Yeah. Yeah. So for you, what do you miss about Belgium the most?
Fries, chocolate, and beer.
Wow. Okay.
I think those are the main ones. What we're known for.
Chocolate, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Any tips for young tennis players here in the U.S.? Obviously, you have seen the game, the competition. What are some of your advices for young kids trying to pursue and push their dream toward tennis?
Great question again. I stand heavily on keeping it social and keeping the positivity, keeping it really fun. For the junior environment in tennis here is very hard. It's hard to get the ranking. There's a lot of competition. It's very, very strong. It takes a lot of traveling, and it's very easy to get isolated.
Yeah.
So I would definitely recommend keep a very nice social group and enjoy every time you get on the court, whether you're playing amazing or not amazing at all.
Gotcha. Any life advice for people that are watching us, young generations, tennis players?
My life advice would be to set up your day-to-day life with as little friction as possible. Try to get yourself into a routine that you enjoy doing every day, something you can replicate that is not bringing you too much stress and brings you fulfillment every single day. Not tied to somebody else, just intrinsically. That keeps you going day after day and lets you appreciate how things unfold over time.
Yeah, that's a great one, man. For you, where in terms of like, if you could go anywhere around the world, if you could pick one spot, where would that be and why?
I've been lucky to see many places over the years, and I truly enjoy Austin, Texas. I think it's a very vibrant community. It's always growing. You have the water, beautiful weather, great food, great meats, the Tex-Mex. On the tennis side, it's one of the best communities out there. Those states, Texas, Florida, but I think now Texas especially is growing immensely, where you can play groups lessons, one-on-ones, there's tournaments.
Social tournaments and events.
Yes, social tournaments. New sports developing with pickleball and padel that are so widely accessible, easy to pick up. I think it's a great spot to be in right now.
Gotcha. Lennard, I'm really happy to have you here. I obviously thank you for your time. Okay, thank you for being here.
Anytime, dear Raj.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys. Keep watching, keep subscribing, and sharing our videos. Thank you for your support.